KDC, 2020 started off awesome. We got invited to perform at the Oakland Museum Art in Public Practice Symposium, which was a day-long event that invited artists from across California to show how they were shifting the field and engaging public in their art. We got to spend some time on the Oakland Museum campus before the event happened, rehearsing and setting our pieces actually in the architecture of the space. It was so cool. Audience came in. We got to speak about the work and what it was like to be on site and what it was like to see dance in a public place. Also, at this point, we were gearing up for our 2020 season, Acclimate, which was going to happen in partnership with Yerba Buena Center for the Arts in April. We were finishing costumes, we were finishing up the music composition. The dancers were already rehearsing in the space, feeling things out and getting things all set to go. It's pretty ironic that the piece we were making in that moment when the pandemic hit was literally about adapting and changing and evolving and shifting to our environment. And here we were thrown into this position where we were forced to change, to be working in a field where you literally want to be in that physical space to create, to see bodies moving, physical touch and connecting and launching bodies in space is what we do. And all of a sudden, that was in question. How do we move forward? Now, we could have paused, which there were moments we wanted to pause and just be like, let's wait this thing out. Let's see what happens. But we have to create. That's what keeps us excited. That's what keeps us alive. So it was such a deep time of reflection for so many artists, just talking with my collaborators about, what it meant to be a live performer, what it meant to be a creator, what it meant to stay in survival mode during this time, and also the reality that things weren't going to go back to ever how they were, not only for creating, but also just our daily lives. When we're given this time and space to pause, what do we do with it?
Probably the most challenging thing about creating during a pandemic was being patient with my body and also my mental space and giving myself time to find creative energy and find a creative space and enjoy that whenever it would happen, and not putting too much pressure on myself to produce anything. And also just like dealing with space, because in general, I'm a pretty big mover and very exuberant, and it was challenging to, find spaces that facilitated, what my inherent desire was, but also learning how to work within circumstances that were given to me.
The thing that's been the most challenging is just not being able to go into rehearsal and see bodies moving through real space. My process is pretty solitary in my little studio, so the thing I miss the most is the community of seeing everybody in rehearsal, feeding off of that energy. And then it's different too, like for me to hear my music in a space with dancers there, it just sounds different. It sort of like comes across differently, and so then I can sort of tell more easily how things are working or not.
What I've been trying to do in this time is hold space in myself and in my practice for like two completely opposite things to exist. So like, yes, I can't dance with any of these incredible people that inspire me and motivate me and push me and challenge me, and that I get competitive with, or that I get physically creative with, and it fucking just breaks my heart. And we don't know when we'll be able to do what we do in the same way again, if ever. But on the other hand, we found a way to connect and to dance and to be in community with one another in terms of movement in this time. And like, we have made art, and wow, I'm so lucky that I get to keep doing what I feel like I was born to do, which is dance.
So what do? we keep going. We make something. We try to figure out how this can still happen. How can we still create? How do we have to shift as artists to make this happen? There's just been so many unknowns. Unknowns what dance will look like in the future. Unknowns if theater performance will ever come back. And I think it just also brings in this deep reflection time about the locations we live in, who we are connected with in those moments. And those questions really hit a chord with one of our collaborators, Kaya, who felt the urge to move out of the Bay Area. And we were faced with this moment of, we have all of this amazing material that we created together for our home season. What do we do with it? And seeing it as a moment to be like, let's do this. Let's do dance films. We have to find a way to translate it to this form. It provides such a unique look into the movement. We can get closer. We can catch certain angles. We can really provide an experience for the viewer to witness movement and dance in a unique way. I found a site that I was walking by one day that I just connected with and felt like it could really work for this project. I said, hey, Kaya, are you down to go on site and see how this works? We did a few Zoom rehearsals where we brought back material, talked about how it would connect on site, and then we went there, social distance, and we shot our very first dance film, Barrier. Bringing the dance field to a digital platform just opened up so many new opportunities that I feel like we never even considered. You know, again, we always had to be in physical space with one another to make something happen, but now we had this gateway that we had to use to stay creating. So distance didn't matter. Our classes connected with people in Europe and Germany and down in Mexico, and I got to teach virtually at Iowa State University, set a solo on a student in Missouri at Lindenwood University. So we could be in so many places at once, just when we thought our schedules weren't crazy enough. But also, it gave the opportunity to connect with other artists. I met Jose back in 2019 when we did a residency at Iowa State. He then graduated and moved back to Spain, and we reconnected and realized that we actually could make a dance film in 2 separate locations. How did you feel when I approached you with this opportunity to film from across the world?
I don't know, it kind of sparked something inside of me, and I was just like, okay, well, we're really going there, and it's just amazing how many things have come out of that, because it's allowed us to reimagine what we already thought was established, you know?
There's also this sense in the dance field, you make something, you create it, and then that's it. You know, it happens for just a weekend or just that one time, but now it's like this solo is living 10 different lives, you know, from the time you learned it to performing it at ISU to now becoming a dance film. So I think that's also really cool. It's also been a little hard.
Yeah.
Right, because we have these different things that we're faced with. What have you felt has been a little bit of roadblocks that we've faced?
I feel like getting things done has been one of the most challenging things, because you know, no one's holding you accountable for the amount of work you do. It's not like we have to show up every week or every couple days to rehearsal. And even when I did have my rehearsals, it was just on my own. It was just a completely different feel to it. Really showing up was hard, and it made me realize how important it is to have your work ethic within you, and just really do the things because you want to do them. Because some days you feel okay, yes, this project's going on, and you know, just really pumped about everything. But then, you know, a couple of days after, it started to fade away. So it was hard to keep on going in that sense.
Overall, I feel like my relationship to time has just completely changed. There's no longer production deadlines. There's not a final show that is happening on this day. Having this end product, this end goal really drives my own process and my own creation. but also taking the time to sit with something, to listen to a track over and over, to sit with rehearsal videos or sit with a quality of movement for much longer is really just deepening the collaboration and what is coming out of the work we're creating together.
I find myself more inspired by music than I've ever been before, and I don't necessarily think I'm listening to more or less music, but just my relationship to it has changed in the spaces that I'm in, like how it resonates in the space that I'm in most frequently.
Yes, another thing from this is that I do get to choose how I set up any dance space. I feel like I have more agency as a performer and as an artist than I realized before. And I look forward to carrying that into my collaborations in a respectful and meaningful way, but also in a way that is empowering for me.
And I think that's what I'm going to carry moving forward, is just, being kind to myself and my creative work, and allowing myself to, take my time and not have so much pressure, and, work from a place of ease and enjoyment, and, be fully present when I am in a creative space.
When we quiet that mental chatter, we become more aware. And I've been thinking about what that means to become more aware. And I think it means we are able to share our thoughts, feelings, abilities, and questions in a place that feels more stable and calm inside.
You always just pray for the time and space to be able to work on your art for like 12 hours every day. And then, so I'm trying to remind myself of that now that I have that opportunity, that when I didn't, it was a real challenge. And so now that I find myself in here, I'm just trying to be grateful.
In addition to the creative work, we are also looking at what it means to be a dance company, to be an arts organization. We got our nonprofit status in the new year, and that's an opportunity for us to continue to grow and also continue to provide art and what that means to other bodies and other people. We're currently in the works of creating Bodies of Empowerment, which is a holistic approach to dance. How can we provide meditation and movement and storytelling activities to allow youth to just express themselves in all the ways to make them feel good and empowered?
Bodies of Empowerment! Woo! I think that's such a fitting title. For me, the goal is to hold space and to share some tools that may assist with the student's own journey of feeling empowered, giving themselves permission to create and explore in a safe space. The tools I'm working on sharing are sound and breath meditation. Meditation is a state of being where our active mind slows down. Meditation can be hard. We have such active minds and bodies, but I think we could really hone in through breath technique and sound to get to that meditative state. And these tools can be quite essential when a teacher is asking a student to open up, be vulnerable, share their thoughts and ideas, express.
Modern Legends is a storytelling-based curriculum as a part of our larger youth outreach initiative, Bodies of Empowerment. The goal of Modern Legends is to re-engage students with the power of stories from their own communities, cultivate a culture of empathy, and remind each student that their story matters now more than ever.
The thing that gets me most fired up about it is the way I am now looking at more deeply and investigating my own narrative more, and I found that I have a lot of rich stories in my life, my lived experience that I think I'm getting more excited about just reflecting on.
Last year, we launched Mared Project, which is an artist commissioning project where we provided funds to artists to create their own live performance. Now we wanted to do it again, and what better way but to provide artists the opportunity to create dance films. we put out a call for artists to share their ideas and what they wanted to create on dance film. And we found 6 artists that we are super excited to present this year. Carla Quintero, Cameron McKinney, Melissa Lewis Deuce Lee, Lanier McKinney, Cyan, and Samuel Malesio Zambrano. You'll be able to check out the amazing work these artists create for Mayor Project's premiere, which will happen virtually February 5th and 6th, so you'll be hearing much more about that. And here we are. That's what we've been up to. It has not been easy. It still isn't easy, but we know that when we get together, when we create, something happens that is so deep and important to process all of this, to then share and also have a collective experience with our community and who loves to dance and loves to move, and continuing to be in that space and have that connection is just so incredibly important. And I'm beyond grateful to all of our collaborators for continuing, to all of you for watching and smiling and working through it all with us. You're rad.